rev up your engines for the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast with Big E. Proudly sponsored by Christensen Law, where bikers helping engine bikers is more than just a motto. It's our commitment to the biker community. Be sure to tune in and listen to the latest news and biker buzz. And for all your personal injury needs, be sure to contact the Christensen Law team at 248-900-9000. Welcome to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast, where the rubber meets the road and the tales of the ride unfold. I'm Big E, your guide on this two-wheeled adventure. Life is short, bikers, so let's get after it. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. We have a special guest with us. And she's very patient. Jamie Lynn Tupper. I almost did it again. I want to say Lee and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It's like deja vu.
Yes.
We were plagued with some technical difficulties. Hopefully we're past that. So, we are here to talk about the second annual Bikes for Bucky, but we want to know about the first Bikes for Bucky. So, go ahead and tell us how that came about.
All right. So, the original Bikes for Bucky last year, 2023, came about because one of my husband's coworkers had developed a blood clot in his leg and had to be off work for a significant amount of time, resulting in some medical bills, household things getting behind, house payment. My husband came home, asked me, what can we do to help him? How can we help? And not even really honestly paying attention to the conversation, just randomly said, just plan a benefit ride and I'll help do everything. And he said, okay. So he went to work to talk to the other guys that he drives with. That's who we ride with most of the time, is all the truck drivers he works with.
Right.
And so talked to them, and then I didn't hear anything about it for a couple of weeks. And I was like, well, I guess that just wasn't a fave idea, whatever. And randomly came home from work one day and set his cooler down and said, hey, how's that benefit planning going? And I went, oh boy, I guess I better get on this. We're really doing this. So just kind of started coordinating some things. And his name is Mike Buckheisen, which is where Bikes for Bucky came from. And we just decided to keep the name.
So how long did it take you from the time you started to the time you had the ride? How long? What's the time span?
So we committed to doing the ride in end of June, beginning of July, and set our date. And our ride was in September of last year. And that was nowhere near enough time. I spread myself so thin. And there was obviously it being our first year, there are so many volunteers that I have this year that I just think to myself, man, if I would have had this last year.
Yeah, it's quite the learning curve.
It is, especially when you think. For me, honestly, at first I was like, party planning. I got party planning. That's no big deal.
Right.
It's way beyond party planning. It's coordinating, getting donations. I spent 2 whole days of 1 week just picking up donations for silent auction and raffle items of people we were super grateful for, but they were all over the state. So it's running like a ping pong ball, different directions,
right.
Where this year I have so many volunteers spread out that I can just send them.
Hey, yeah, that'd be nice. Me. I know we're planning our first benefit ride, and it's been a learning situation for sure. There is a lot to it. It's not as easy as it looks.
Absolutely. And countless hours. My volunteers I have this year, I honestly couldn't pull it off this year without them.
All right. So let's talk about this year's Bikes for Bucky.
So this year's Bikes for Bucky, our recipient is Lynn Caswell. Lynn is 6 years old. He's from Grand Ledge. He started developing some headaches in fall of last year around October. His parents took him to the emergency room because he was just down for a couple of days, and it was intensifying. and they were given the diagnosis of medulloblastoma, which is brain cancer.
That's very sad.
Absolutely.
And a huge strain on a family.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So Lane's dad is the sole breadwinner in their household. And since Lane's diagnosis, he's had to step away. Lane went through some aggressive radiation in the beginning, successfully graduated radiation to move into chemotherapy. And he's averaging about 2 days out of 30 that he actually gets to be out of the hospital because he has chemotherapy and it's just taking such a toll on his little body that it is just wiping him right out.
Right.
So dad can't work. They're spending most of their time at U of M hospital. He does have a 4-year-old little sister who, as much as family helps with getting her back and forth so that she can spend time with them. Unfortunately, post-COVID, it's not like it used to be, and everybody can't just all be there together. Right. So
that's sad. Very sad.
Absolutely.
And you can hear the podcast hound Harley in the background, and everybody kind of chuckles about it. But I was doing a little research because I'd like to know what's out there, and there was another podcast with 2 guys talking about motorcycles, and they're just talking, and all of a sudden that guy's dogs went nuts in the background too. So I'm like, it must be a podcast thing. It's all right.
It's norm.
So it's the norm. All right. So tell us about your event that you've been planning. Now, you didn't know last year already that you were going to do the event for him, or did you?
So we had talked, Gary and I, towards the end of our event last year when we were cleaning up from dinner and cleaning up the facility we had used. He said we should do this every year and we'll pick a different cause every year. And different things like mental health and, veterans. We decided we wanted to do that, but we each year aren't going to pick like American Cancer Society or somewhere that gets a lot of attention. We would rather pick, let's recognize a veteran and pick a veteran who maybe can't pay his property taxes or needs a wheelchair ramp. And let's help an individual from our local area. So we had talked about doing it. And then the spring of this year, I heard a couple whispers of my husband coming home and saying, hey, we need to pick a date for Bikes for Bucky. And then there was nothing for a while. So I was kind of just waiting to follow their lead because obviously can't do it by myself. I got to have help. And one day he came home and he's like, get the calendar out. We're picking a date right now. So we started looking at other events around Michigan. Last year when we planned, we kind of conflicted with a couple of other events because it was so last minute.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure we were open, good right. participation. And so we picked August 10th. Didn't look like there was a whole lot going on. And to be honest, the ride last year, the first part of that ride, I don't think I was able to feel my legs until about 1:00 in the afternoon. So earlier in the year was a little better for me so that we could function. Lane had started experiencing more complications and going through some other issues. And so that's why we ultimately ended up deciding that we wanted to do this for Lane.
Because I know a lot of groups that do these things annually.
Uh-huh.
They almost start planning immediately after it takes a year.
Yeah. So I have a t-shirt guy who stepped up to help. He's a friend of our family, Andy Kronk. He's going to do our t-shirts every year, and he's on board a lifer. Andy, when you listen to this, if you didn't know you were a lifer, you know now. So he's going to help us every year. And he suggested the same thing. We did a bake sale a couple weekends ago that we had in Ionia. The community of Ionia rallied around us, and we raised $860 from that bake sale to help pay for the things for the benefit. So we talked about doing fundraising efforts over the winter this year so that next year when it comes, we're not down to the wire trying to pull everything together. So, I mean,
it sounds like you guys don't belong to a riding club or anything like that.
We do not.
Just a bunch of friends that ride.
We are. Yep. Couple of the guys that my husband works with, the truck drivers, they had bikes. And one weekend, our friend Kevin said, hey, he upgraded to an Ultra Classic and he had the Softail sitting in the garage. He's like, why don't you guys just ride our Softail? And, I fought it and told my husband, I'm like, we are not getting a bike. We are not getting one. And we weren't even off Kevin Street. And I said, okay, we can get a bike. And
so you didn't want a bike and now you've got two bikes? Funny how that works.
Yes, absolutely. It is our escape. And something I have learned over time, trucking has a lot of people who come together and they're a family. But the bikerhood and what you get there, and the people who will just randomly stop and, are you good? Do you need something? There's just a camaraderie there that is something that is unexplainable.
Exactly. You have to experience it. Almost everywhere you go on a bike, someone will talk to you.
Yes.
You'll meet. I mean, this weekend on our trip, we met so many cool people. Just because you got a bike.
Fuel stops, random people walk up and talk to my husband, and they'll walk away, and I'll be like, oh, how did you know him? Because we're nowhere near home. He's like, I have no idea who that is.
Oh, yeah, we had that happen to us. I was stopping to get gas. This guy came up with this. It was a beautiful dog. And he just, I ride this, blah, blah, blah. How you guys doing? Blah, really cool.
Yep, and to see if a rider's on the side of the road.
Yep.
Instantly, a fellow rider comes along, whether they're in their pickup, their work vehicle, it doesn't matter.
You can tell if someone rides.
Yes.
They may not be on their bike, but just by how they act towards you, or they see you, hey, you need help or something like that. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. It's a wonderful thing. So we decided to keep doing bikes for Bucky and do the poker run again this year. The poker run was a lot of fun last year, just watching people who had never met each other playing the poker hands coming together and kind of getting to know each other a little more. We made friends from Bikes for Bucky last year. We're anticipating twice, if not 3 times as many bikes this year. So I'm excited to meet new people. Rat Pack MC has joined us from our first volunteer meeting. I just scheduled a volunteer meeting, and those guys showed up. They are amazing.
Cool. Very cool.
They are a great group of guys. And gals. I shouldn't say just guys, because the gals are just as participating as the guys. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So any thoughts about maybe turning bikes for Bucky into like a 501c3 or something like that in the future?
That will be finalized in the fall of this year. We are working to make it an established nonprofit 501c so that we can continue to do it long term and continue to raise money to help people who need help.
Right. That would be awesome. Hold on a minute. All right. So tell us about the event. What do you all have going on?
So we have a poker run. Poker run is $10 a hand. We will draw 2 cards at the first stop and then 1 card at each stop after. Do have to be present at the beginning at registration to play the poker hands. We will have a silent auction. They are doing a side-by-side ride as well for people who don't ride motorcycle that ride side-by-side. Please share with your side-by-side friends. They're going to have a separate run, but you can follow all that information through our Bikes for Bucky Facebook page. We will have a pulled pork sandwich dinner, $10 a plate. Come in, join us for dinner in the silent auction, even if you can't or don't want to ride with or participate in the other stuff. We're going to have 50-50. Another question that I get asked all the time is, are you drawing a 50-50 winner at each stop or at the end? We're going to draw at the end. So even if you don't participate in the rest, but you want to join us at one of the stops because it's local to you, you can still participate in the 50-50 there, and it'll still be the overall whole pool. 50-50 is going to be split, half between the winner and the other half to Lynn and his family.
Right. Very cool. You want to talk about some of the sponsors?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a bunch of great sponsors this year, some that are returning. Capital Harley Davidson. I have to tell you, of all the Harley dealers I reached out to in Michigan, they've been the most receptive and absolutely wanted to participate again this year. H&H Jewelry out of Grand Ledge. Cedar Crest Dairy donated some Harley Davidson gift cards. Hard Knocks Food Truck is smoking our pork for our pulled pork sandwiches. If you guys don't know who they are, you definitely need to.
Yeah.
Amazing food. He does a food truck and he sets up different places. He just does great. It's wonderful. Lots of sponsors around the Eaton Rapids area. Different businesses have donated gift cards, baskets, you name it.
Sounds like you have a pretty awesome community.
Yes.
Everybody's kind of pulling together.
Yes, absolutely. So Donna, my donations coordinator, she's new with me this year. She joined forces with me. Her grandson had cancer and he is in remission. She did a benefit for him. So she is teaching me the way, man. I'm telling you what, I've already picked up 1 load of donations and taken it to the house where the businesses that have wrapped around us from that area with Lane not even being from there or us being from there has been amazing. So we're super excited to ride through the communities that have rallied around us for this event. And, you know, we're going to post to the local community pages. And even if you listen to this and you don't ride, come out in your front lawn with your kids with signs and hold them up and just show Lane that we're all here to make sure he knows he doesn't fight by himself.
Very cool. Very cool. Like I was going to say something about riding through the communities with the people that participated. Our ride is actually doing the same kind of thing. We're going to 3 establishments in the 3 counties that cover our charity.
Okay.
So I think that's really cool when you can do that.
Yes, absolutely. We want to, you know, show respect to those places. If you follow our Facebook, you'll see who all of our sponsors are, because as they donate, we've had a ton of them donate towards our t-shirts. We did a fundraiser to raise the money for the t-shirts last year. Stone Transport solely funded our t-shirts. This year it was up to us to fund for the t-shirts, and that's a lot more of an expense than people have any idea.
It's very, very expensive.
Yes.
T-shirts, hats, anything like that. It's incredibly crazy money.
Yes, absolutely. So we just did a bake sale in Ionia, and the community of Ionia rallied around us. Wonderful. Met a lot of great people that ride. I live in Ionia, and I had no idea who these people were and that they rode. So I made new friends through that process. The bake sale came about because my 7-year-old bonus daughter, Peyton, said, I want to help Lane. How can I help Lane? And so I went to brainstorming, and I'm like, what can we do with these kids to show them one kid can make a difference? And if we start to instill that at their age, then they learn that and they take that with them through life.
Right.
So I rallied around some of my other mom friends in our group, and I just said, who can bake stuff? I posted to Facebook. People came forward. You know, Kevin made cherry pies and Leela made cupcakes, and Mindy and I made a bunch of cookies and stuff and put it all out there. And we raised $860 with a lemonade stand bake sale. Yeah, we had no idea, to be honest.
That is pretty darn good.
We did it donations, and we set a little bucket out, and people would wander up, and some people, you know, they didn't have $20 to put in, but they had $1, and they put that $1 in there. We were very grateful and receptive of that $1 to teach the kids that no matter what the amount was, it can make a difference. And when we got home at the end of the day, my daughter Taylor and I were sitting there counting it, and I said, there's no way. And we counted it a second time, and I was speechless. I had no idea. We set up at I-96 Speedway over the weekend. They invited us to come in and set up a booth, and they donated a family 4-pack, and we sold raffle tickets to give away a gift bag for family 4-pack racing. It was also kids' night, so we donated a girls' basket and a boys' basket. So we raffled those off, and we raised $100 from that.
Wow.
And so Andy should have our t-shirts soon, and then we'll be selling our t-shirts in advance. And we've got tumblers with the Bikes for Bucky on it.
Yeah, they're very nice too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Koozies with Bikes for Bucky. We got car window stickers. Just
all kinds of stuff.
Trying to think of creative ways this year to try to come together and raise money and make it as successful as possible.
I think it's awesome that you did this just kind of out of the blue. You know, just your trucker family kind of pushed you to do that, and you're using the biker family to kind of push that. And that's awesome, because
so it brings the two things that are my favorite things in life together. I have been around trucking my whole life. My biological grandfather was a truck driver, which I wasn't unfortunately allowed to know, and later in life found out, and motorcycles. My two things that make me happy.
And now, how long have you been riding?
2 years.
2 years. It's amazing how in 2 years you just boom, you got hooked on it.
All it took was around the block on the Softail the first time, and I was like, "Yep, let's do this." And then one of the first big rides that Kevin had planned with the work group, and we invited others, obviously from outside, but just it was nasty, rainy, crappy weather, and we had the
every
best
minute
time.
Of it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It was a blast.
So where did you go on the big trip?
So the big trip, we went up to the UP.
Whereabouts?
We rode up to Pictured Rocks.
Okay.
And up and around in there. So
did you ride the H58? No, you didn't do H58?
We didn't. But you know, something else about up there is when it starts to get dark and you're riding and you go underneath of those street lights,
Yeah.
the bugs that hit
Oh,
you
yeah.
are like nothing I can even explain. We were going down the road and my husband's trying to hide behind the fairing on the Softail.
Right.
And every time one would hit me, I would start laughing and he would start laughing. So we're like huddled up together. We get to the gas station and get off the bike. They're stuck in my helmet.
Oh, yeah.
They're all under my seat.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm like, where did these things come from?
Yep.
We still tell that story to this day. But yeah, that was our first big ride. And now we want to plan to go to Tennessee.
You rode across the bridge.
We did. And you know what? It was the most amazing experience ever.
I thought so too. I thought it was cool.
I have an issue with bridges over water, so I'm not going to lie. I was a little panic stricken about it. And my husband said, just turn the radio up and don't worry about nothing else besides singing to the music and you'll be fine. Next thing I know, I got my phone out. I'm taking pictures, and it truly is an experience. If you have a bike and you're listening to this and you've never ridden across the Mackinac Bridge on your bike, you definitely need to do it.
Yeah, it should be on your bucket list.
Absolutely.
I've been across the bridge a few times. That bridge don't bother me.
No.
There's a bridge in Houghton. That one bothers me, and it's not very long.
Yeah.
And that one freaks me out. So I don't know. So you got another big trip planned?
So we want to plan to go to Tennessee on the bike.
Yeah.
We want to go down to Tennessee on the bike.
Of course, you're going to ride your own? Or?
No. I will be passenger princess for that trip.
Backpack, huh?
Yep.
That's all right.
I will be on the Ultra Classic kickback and enjoying the sights.
So he got an Ultra Classic. What year Ultra Classic did he get?
His is a 2013.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's very nice. Very nice. We went and test drove. Weren't sure if we were going to get a bike that day. I was 90% sure we were coming home with a bike, but he had me leave work and meet him. He met in the semi, pulled right down in the drive where Capitol's at, and test drove the first one that was absolutely gorgeous. It was like a black cherry colored, and just didn't like the way it felt. And then, but the seat on that one was more comfortable. Yeah. So we rode his bike that he owns now. And when we came back, he was kind of just still looking at it, walking around, and our sales guy says, well, what can I do to seal the deal? And I said, you switch that seat with the other seat and you got a deal. And my husband's looking at me like, what just happened? We just bought another bike. 30 minutes later, we were signing the papers and we were out of there.
That's the first thing I changed on my bike was the seat. Yeah.
Yep. So, I love riding. It's like a whole nother experience.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it in your eye.
Best antidepressant there is.
Yep. Instantly hooked.
Yes.
My wife, she had never ridden before. I was like, I'm going to get a bike by the end of the week, because, there's a long story about it. But if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard the story, probably.
Yep.
But yeah, I think she almost likes riding more than I do. And I love to ride. But she's always, boom, let's go.
Yeah, my husband said yesterday he wanted to get the bikes out and he wanted to ride. And of course, Father's Day.
Well, yeah.
I was like, all right, okay, let's do this.
Twist my arm.
And then like 10 minutes into the ride, I'm like, man, why did I fight this so hard?
Right.
I just turned the music up and we were just gone. And the breeze, it's just a whole nother world. And like I said, the family that comes along with riding is amazing. You can go 1,700 miles from home and break down. And, everybody's like, you guys shouldn't worry about breaking down. You bought all the extended warranties. And I always tell them the best warranty I have is my fellow brothers and sisters that ride.
Yep. They
won't leave you.
We just did 1,600 miles, and we can share that same story because, everywhere you go, you meet somebody. Yep. Somebody's always, hey, do you need a hand or this, that, and next thing, hey, nice bike. It's a great conversation starter. It's an awesome way to meet people, and the biker community is just amazing.
Absolutely amazing. So I'm excited for them to all join us on August 10th and help us make this as successful as possible. We've had riding clubs as far out into Ohio to reach out to me and say, hey, we want to know more about your benefit. We like to recognize children that struggle with these types of things and what can we do to help? And, my response is always the same. I'd love to meet you in person and I can't wait for you to come. As
do we. Our club is, veterans, first responders, and children.
Yep.
So I'll have to check our calendar and see what we got going on August 10th.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. You guys could join us.
Yeah, I know we had talked about doing Cheeseburger Festival, but I think that's like a whole week long anyway. So, we could do that. Not necessarily on the 10th.
There you go.
So you're working on a 501c3 for Bikes
for Bucky, yep.
Bikes for Bucky?
Just because we want to keep doing it every year, and the amount of donations that you can open yourself up to corporate level to help you facilitate this and make it even bigger each year so that you can maybe not just help one person, maybe you can help a couple of different people.
Right.
So we definitely want to get that registered and open ourselves up to the other things that are available.
Yeah, our club is wanting to head in that same direction. So I might have to get notes from you.
We'll have to navigate that together.
Yeah. We have one of our brothers that's doing the same thing. He's, for his Facebook page group thing, he's doing a 501c3 to help out up in the Traverse City area. So, and he has already started. So, Rob, we might need some lessons here, buddy.
I'll buy lunch.
We can sit down and brainstorm.
Yes.
So, yeah. Bikes for Bucky. They have a Facebook page.
We do. It's Bikes for Bucky.
Bikes for Bucky. It's easy to find.
Yep. Just find us on Facebook, like our page, follow us for all the good information, and come join us and help us make this as successful for Lane so we can take some of that burden off his parents.
Right. That's big burden. Big burden. That.
Yes.
If he's only, 6 years old.
Just fathom
He's a trooper, though.
Yes, absolutely. He's a little warrior. That's what we call him, our little superhero.
That's very cool.
He's always cheery and giggling and laughing. And
hopefully he pulls through this and
he can join us the day of the event.
Join you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And even though we seem like we did it twice, but
technical difficulties are expected.
Technical difficulties suck. And we have had none this second round, so that is perfect.
Meant to be.
That is good. This is a couple-hour drive for you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't mind driving. I think she wanted to ride her bike, but
I did want to ride my bike, but the thunderstorms, the thought of it starting to thunderstorm, and then I would be stuck somewhere. Also, on the down low, my husband slightly had a panic attack when I said I was going to ride all the way up here by myself.
Oh, well.
I think he'd like me to have a little more seat time before I attempt something like that. So,
but I know some people that wouldn't even think about riding that far.
No, I mean, if the weather hadn't posed a risk, I would have been on the bike and on the way.
Atta girl.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, bikers. There you go. August 10th at the...
Registration starts at 8 a.m. at the Ione Free Fairgrounds. Kickstands up at 10. And then we will be riding to Farmer's Tavern in Mulliken, and then Just a Few in Potterville. And our last stop is Hotel Tavern in Springport. And our final destination for dinner is Eagle Park in Eagle, Michigan.
Sounds like a great day.
I hope so.
Should be fun.
Yes. Guaranteed lots of fun with our crew.
Lots of fun.
Absolutely.
Guaranteed a good time.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, bikers. That's all I got. We'll catch you out there. Get out there and ride. Life is short, so get after it. Thanks for listening to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast. Have a good one, bikers. And remember, life is short, so get after it.